So apparently it's not only cry or buy, but also laugh and buy. And Marisa has worked in advertising, so as you can see, she's used to overselling products, including me. Good. I'm so happy to be back in Thailand. And first off, I really want to say thank you to Nui for the invitation. And I want to thank Nui and her whole team for putting an event together like this. All the volunteers, all the team members, because it's such a hard effort. So let's just start by just applauding Nui and her whole team for that great work. Great, so I'm here to talk about something men very rarely talk about. Feelings, emotions. And you know, when you have to talk about feelings and emotions, you need to be in a safe space, in a circle of trust with people that you feel good together with. So you can help me do that, okay? Because how you feel impacts how I feel. What you do down there impacts what I do. So we're going to start with something very easy to make all of us feel good, and I know you can do that. Start with a smile. Let's see, smile. I can feel that, it's contagious, good. Let's try something else. So if you want to show that this is okay, that's going on stage, put your two hands together and clap, okay? Let's try and do that. Perfect, good. So I'm here to talk about feelings. I'm an ex-advertising guy. So I'm going to reveal some of the dirty secrets behind what really makes people buy. And it is pretty simple. It starts with the heart. So we're going to try and explore that today. Because the thing is, advertising dominates so much of our lives and really how we feel. If you think about it, brands like Volvo makes us feel safe. A brand like Nike makes us want to achieve. A brand like Trump makes it either love or hate, depending on how we feel about that brand. And if you think about it, most brands also own a lot of our relationships. Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Single Day. So brands are essential in creating a good life. So my mission the last couple of years have really been to change brands, because brands have let us buy a lot of bad stuff, but they can also be part of the solution. But so often it's just difficult to get that story right. So difficult still. And sorry my language, but most of the time when I see sustainability communication, do-good communication, Goodvertising, it's most of the time like pissing in a wetsuit. It feels warm and nice to begin with, but it quickly begins to stink. And we don't want that, okay? So when I see communication, the most central thing is to make it emotional. So when we see stuff like this, zero fear, zero stigma, zero discrimination, it's all right and we get it, but it's also zero excitement. So if you want to create something, you need to move people's emotions, right? And that is essential for success. And when we talk about living the good life, people are already living the good life. They are embracing human-powered transportations. They are preserving nature and nature resources already. They even grow their own food today. And this is not statistics. This is what people actually share on social media. This is the stuff they're doing. And then what are you doing as brands? You come there as a mother, kind of telling them to do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. So maybe it's not strange that our reaction as people are something like this. We heard it 100 times before, the teenage daughter just slamming the door and saying enough is enough. So if we want to get over that gap, we need to use emotions, okay? So I don't know why it's so difficult to tell these stories, because if we look at Hollywood, they're just so good at it. If you think about the story, the very survival of human mankind is on stake. It's a great story to tell. It should be pretty easy. 2012 have done it, The Day After Tomorrow. I don't know how many of you have seen those films. They succeed doing it. They even generated $1.3 billion in revenue. So why can't we get this story right? And I think it's pretty basic. And I'll just illustrate it with these two images. So which car would you love to be driving? The one to the left or the one to the right? Right, yes, exactly. Because it's exciting, it's emotive. So the problem is, most of the time, marketing is from Mars and sustainability is from Venus. And quite often we feel like Jack Nicholson in Cuckoo's Nest and we don't know what to do. So we need to sort that out. On planet sustainability, everything is about numbers. It's correct, but on planet marketing, it needs to be emotional. It needs to move you. So yes, the world might not explode like a balloon, but it moves you. Let me give you another example. Enough of that, but it moves you, right? So it might not be, if you fly, you emit carbon, and indirectly maybe polar bears die. It's emotional, it's not very rational. Or this one, 8 of their organs can be donated. Luckily for us, the brain is not one of them. Or this one, has Brinker Budget Hotel, accidentally eco-friendly. The staircase being the eco-elevator. So it moves us, it makes us smile. So move from rational to emotional. The second one I want to talk about is, why do we make things so complex? I know the world of sustainability is so complex, and we talk about supply chains and all that stuff. Your biggest role is to make it really, really simple. And that is, of course, difficult. One example, if you think about it, I don't know how many of you can read those nutritional facts on food packaging. I can't. Wouldn't it be great if McDonald's and other food producers actually made the energy into how much exercise we needed to do? Then I would understand 1 burger equals 1 hour of exercise, or whatever you want to do. If you want to dance, whatever you want to do, I would be able to understand that. It's simple. Let me show you another one. Measurement, and I know Paul talked about the importance of measurement, and it is important, but also excitement. Makes it exciting. This is a pair of sneakers. It's 100% biodegradable, and when you're finished using it, you can plant it in the garden, and a little tree grows. I think that's super, super exciting. So how can you create your communication exciting? And I'm just going to show you an example of that as well. Pony. You don't see that a lot. You don't see that a lot. Maybe you can't rationally explain it, but emotionally it gets you, right? So the thing is, of course, this is for a phone company that just want to tell you you get unlimited data for all this silly stuff you watch online. So there's an explanation behind it, okay? The other one I want you to move from is from informational to actionable. And so often you forget people to do things. You inform them like that little mother thing in the beginning with the teenage daughter. What you need to do is turn that stuff into actions. So one campaign that I really love in this space, I don't know if you have a local chapter here in Thailand, from Fashion Revolution. What they asked people to do was turn their clothing inside out so you could see the label and you could understand the circumstances that clothing has been made and understand some of the labor practices behind it. So a very simple ask. You're asking people to make a difference. So 3 things that I've talked about: simple, actionable, and emotional, right? Those are the 3 key ingredients if we want to move people forward. And Scary enough, I was in Manchester a week ago, and I met this little guy. I don't know what it really has to do with my presentation, but if we don't get it right, it's scary to see that robots get it right. Crazy how simple it is. You know, the moving head, it kind of gets the emotion. It actually said, hello sir, how are you doing? It recognized my sex. So we need to get it right, else the robots would get it right. I don't know why I talked about that, but I think it's interesting anyway. Good. So let me show you another example of how you move from the world of logic to the world of emotion, okay? This time I got another animal for you. Not a moonwalking pony, but a gorilla. Drum playing gorilla. Remember the little thing with the hands? You can clap if you want to and participate, right? I can feel it. But anyway, that's okay. Why a drum playing gorilla? Because if you think about it, the joy when you eat chocolate, this is for Cadbury, the joy when you eat chocolate is that exact feeling that little drum playing gorilla portrays. So remember emotions. This is another example from Diesel. It's a Pete's campaign. Again, very emotional, very visual. From Peace, I want to share something about poo. So think about how do you convey a bus driving on poo? I think this is pretty funny. For sustainable transportation, from poo to something that's maybe even more boring. CSR report. How do you convey that in a fun, interesting manner? So I'll just give you one quick example of that as well.
Can I be frank? Because Frank says dirt is a beautiful paradox. He says it's something that has no place in our lives but under our shoes. He says it's also the incubator that unlocks life's basic necessities. As long as we follow the rules, dirt lets us access food, extract tools, and reap our barley and hops. So yes, he said, from dirt we get beer. Now, if you listen carefully, you can hear the hand of almost 10,000 farmers who try to stay as close to nature as...
Isn't that just beautiful? That's why I absolutely also love that Mbali is here today, so she can kind of convey some of that stuff that is so difficult to convey. And I know Mbali this afternoon is also going to share one of my favorite poems, so there's something you can definitely look forward to there. Anyway, so why does this matter at all? We heard a speaker yesterday also talked about the correlation between people now boycotting brands, but also choosing brands that are like-minded. And if you want to be chosen as a like-minded brand, you want to create emotional bonds with those brands. So that is super important. So that is the starting place. So why is that so difficult? So I'm going to do a little bit of an exercise, okay? So what you're going to do is raise both of your arms like that. Both of your arms, all of you, hands up. Good. On the next slide, I'm going to show you. What you are going to do is you are going to point in the direction the copy reads. So read what the copy says and point in that direction, okay? You get it? Good. Point in the direction the copy reads. 3, 2, 1, go. What? What happened? See, what happened was you did what the arrow said. Not what I told you to do, to read the stuff, okay? Need to read. So when you write stuff on your packaging, when you try to use the rational way of conveying your message, it just doesn't work. We're very visual human beings. I'm not a brain scientist in any way. I know this is a brain. This is one of the oldest parts of our brain. But the most interesting part is actually the limbic brain, because where we make decisions is in the limbic brain. That is where we have emotions. And the limbic brain doesn't have a capacity for language. So why emotions are so important is if you can trigger that little limbic brain, you can make people buy. And that's also when we talk about brands, we so often hear, I like, I feel. That's how the language of brands is talking. So that's also why women are just so smarter than us men, because we still think we live in a rational world where girls are still like, I like that, you know. And that's a good answer, because that's how our brain works. So the neocortex, which is of course the latest development of the brain, is the rational brain. So when you want to convey a message, make it super visual and emotional, something like this. If you want to talk about plastic change, the first time I saw this image, it just stuck in my mind. This little island is thousands of kilometers away from the nearest land, and these albatrosses are dying of plastic waste. Or why not take that plastic waste and turn it into jerseys like Nike did for the World Cups? Still very easy. Or if you want to talk about waste, make sure to illustrate how waste contributes to more and more and more waste. So make it super, super visual. Don't think in logic and write stuff, because people don't read it, okay? So if you have a product and you work in the food business and you want to write and make people feel safe about eating a product, and you start writing no artificial coloring, no blah, 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 it doesn't work like that. A company who did it really well was Häagen-Dazs. They created an ice cream just called 5, because there's only 5 ingredients in it, so there's no need to write no artificial coloring, etc. It's egg yolks, it's milk, it's cream, it's sugar, and the 5th ingredient is the lemon. Very, very easy, very, very visual. And again, simplicity really does pay. If you see who won the search battle, Yahoo, super complex, versus Google, simple and visual, okay? So ask yourself always when you do your campaigns, can this be done or said more simply? That is your biggest task. And it's really, really difficult. Because the thing is, it takes time. I love this quote. If I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. That's why I love Twitter, because you only got 140 characters. I think all of you are probably super tired of these very, very long emails, because people don't take the time to digest that data and make it simple. That is your most prominent assignment. Make things simple. And this really does make a difference, because when we talk about social issues, this is a study done by the Gun Report. So they looked at advertising campaigns from all over the world. Social and environmental issues. Campaigns that address those social and environmental issues give higher returns. I think we all know that, right? The second one, though, is emotional campaigns work harder and are more profitable. So think about combining those two. We'd have an atomic bomb of sustainability communication, and I think that is really what is needed, okay? So just to summarize the main points, and I brought somebody really punchy to deliver that message, Jackie Chan, okay? So first one, keep it simple, stupid. Second one, very important as well, dare to care, because that makes a whole difference, okay? So thank you so much for being part of this emotional journey, and I hope that you understand how important it is that if you want to move our brain and our head, you need to start with the heart. And don't forget what I've told you about the energy in this room, that when you are up here, use the smiling muscles, use the hands, and the next two speakers, Phil and Daniel, give them a big round of applause when they get on stage. So thank you so much.